Good morning, this is Jack from the ArtChart.net, and this is the pre-market recording for Friday, the 11th of September. Our disclaimer, we do this for educational purposes only. We're here to share our technical analysis with you. We hope you can take some of what we're doing and learn from it, transfer it to your own charts. We're not here to issue trading signals. Right, let's have a look at SPX first. Now, the reason I'm showing this is because I was putting the case potentially after the low yesterday that we could be making a more serious low here. I think it's probably going to go down, but I just want to make the case that we might be making a low. Obviously, we're on the RTH charts, we're on 60-minute buy signals, RSI 14 buy signals across the board. That doesn't mean we can't go down. It just increases the chance that we're going to turn. So what about the low yesterday? Well, we came very, very close to a full retest of the low on SPX. Not on ES, but on SPX. On SPX, the low was at 33.29.27, and that was 24 ticks higher yesterday. Now, that's a higher low, and generally speaking, I'll lean towards lower lows, but we do have a potential valid double bottom here. And if we were to see a sustained break over 34.25, then we would have a target, which would be in the... what would that be? 35.21 area. And if we made it that high, I'd be leaning towards seeing a retest of the high. Now, what resistance have we got in the way? Well, we've got the 50-hour moving average, which is now starting to come into view. That's in about the 34.50 area. And we've got the daily middle band, which has been resistance. Obviously, it was resistance on this way back up, along with the monthly pivot. And that is now at 34.29. So basically, break and convert the middle band, we are open for a high retest, and it is well worth bearing that in mind. Now, what does the setup look like on the low here? ES not really a double bottom on here, but SPX is the dog and ES is the tail. So the fact that we've got an SPX set up potentially for a double bottom is worth bearing in mind. Would I be leaning towards seeing a lower low on SPX anyway? Yes, I would. NQ. NQ, no current divergence. We have a decent looking potential inverted head and shoulders here. And we've also got, obviously, the original head and shoulders, which is broken down, as we have on ES. Now, neither of those head and shoulder patterns is invalidated, but obviously, if we were to see a big enough push up, really in this case, back up to a low in 875 would do it. That would invalidate the head and shoulders, but actually, really, actually, no, invalidation would be actually about 11,600. So if we got up to the monthly pivot and weekly pivot, that would probably be enough to invalidate the head and shoulders going down. I think we might need to go a little higher for the ES one, though. The ES is the better pattern, so that's the one I'd mainly be watching. This is a nice-looking potential IHS on NQ. It's far less nice-looking on NDX, so that's more of an NQ-only pattern. RTY. RTY... bit muted on the downside yesterday, not near to a retest of the low, still on a 60-minute buy signal, though that did come close to the possible near miss target. YM obviously made the buy signal target, possible very ugly IHS here, but not something where I'd ever draw it in, and I wouldn't really regard any target from it as valid. So we will see how it goes. DAX. No current divergence, just kicking around, waiting for direction from the others, and I think pretty much the same with ESTX. Let's have a look at the other RTH indices. Now, NDX. NDX, obviously we've got an RSI 14 buy signal there. As you can see, this is not a nice looking inverted head and shoulders there at all. My lean would be we'd see a full retest of the low, which we didn't manage to see yesterday. IWM, not close to a retest of the low on a buy signal there too. Dow, actually retested the low yesterday. Nice looking potential lower bottom setup, still on the RSI 14 hourly buy signal, and that could strengthen, although it was a bit above the 50, so normally I wouldn't be taking a huge amount of notice. I am wondering about a move down into this support trend line, currently in about the 27,200 area. So we will see. Obviously on Dow, we are also on a daily RSI. We were on a daily RSI 5 sell signal. That's made target, and this is giving us a little positive divergence. So we've got a possible RSI 5 buy signal brewing. We will see. Okay, let's have a look at other instruments and DX. DX, saw a bit of a retracement, held the monthly pivot like a champ. No particular reason it can't go higher as long as that monthly pivot holds. Could this be an IHS forming? Not a particularly pretty one, no. But potentially, yeah. Not of a strength where I'd be inclined to draw it in as yet, but if we kicked around for another day forming the right shoulder, I'd draw it in. ZB. ZB is kicking around, waiting for direction from equities, I think. 60-minute sell signal reached the possible near miss target, so we're not really on a sell signal here. And at the moment, the monthly pivot is looking reconverted back to support. So that is leaning bullish on that, and I think leaning bearish for equities. CL. CL may be coming back in to get the target that was missed here. I had two targets here for the double top, 34.50 and 35.50, and I was really looking for a move where it's more like 35.40 actually. Let's just see exactly where that is. 35.32. So I'd love to see it go down and get that target. I'm wondering about a low here which doesn't make that target. Stan's looking for a reversal back up here. We may well be seeing that soon. NG, now obviously we've got the head and shoulders here, which is broken down with the target in the 2.08 area. Now, we've not been making much progress towards it, but equally we've not really been rallying much either. As long as the monthly pivot holds as resistance, I'm going to be looking for that target, and I think we may well make it. We're on a 60-minute buy signal, which has not been growing a great deal, and didn't quite make it to the possible nearest target, so it's still in play, but I'm not really seeing any clear bottoming signs here. I'm leaning towards seeing the open target made. GC. GC obviously has rallied somewhat here, is kicking around, waiting for direction from DX in all probability. If DX actually resolves and goes up, then I'd be expecting to see lower lows and possibly a retest of this low on GC. SI. SI, was wondering about a retest of the high, not really been moving a great deal. Could this be an IHS? Yeah, but it's not pretty. So generally speaking, I wouldn't be regarding it as something I would take targets from. Obviously, we've been kicking around under the monthly pivot and weekly pivot. We've tested it, and it's holding. As long as that continues to hold, the next obvious significant move is down. HG. HG. Still wondering about a retest of this high, not seeing any strong evidence to suggest that we're not going to see that. USD. Kicking around up here, this could be a head and shoulder, right shoulder forming, and that one actually would be a pretty decent one now. So we could break down directly from this, and a sustained break below 1.175 would be looking really for about the 1.155 area. And we don't have a great bottoming pattern on DX, but the euro, it's much more heavily traded. I'm taking this potential head and shoulders pretty seriously. GBP USD, we saw a bit of a rally here, possible bottoming action. We are still on a 60-minute buy signal, and if we weren't already on one, another one would have fixed here. Possible little double top double bottom forming here, waiting to see for direction from DX apart from anything else. USD JPY, still looking for a move up to the triangle resistance, which would be currently in the 107 area, sorry, 106.85 area. USD CAD, still wondering about a move to test this megaphone support currently in the 1.3115 area. This looks like a flag. If this was to break down from this flag, then I'd be looking for a likely retest of this low. Australian dollar. Australian dollar, head and shoulders isn't validated, such as it wasn't great anyway. Could this be another right shoulder forming? Yeah, but it would be an ugly pattern. No current divergence, might be setting up for a retest of the high. NZUSD has broken over this declining resistance. It could just be establishing an alternative declining resistance trend line, but no current divergence, so no real clues onto where this is heading short term. KC, possible bottoming action, but I think it's more likely that we're forming a flag or a triangle. No current divergence. SB, we're on a 60-minute buy signal. Looks like it's going to retest the low, possible second low of a double bottom as and when we get there. CC has broken up from this falling channel, leaning towards that being a wedge, but this a bull flag, but this does actually look like a little bear flag forming, so maybe it's going to need to retest this low and possible second low of a double bottom there. ZW, possible IHS forming, not the prettiest, but not bad. Sustained break over 557, we should deliver a retest of this high. Corn is heading higher, nothing really particularly convincing, suggesting it's going to be going down anytime soon. Soy has been going higher, still wondering about a retest of this this nice looking trend line here. here in the 966 area, and still haven't got it. No current negative divergence. Live cattle could have formed an IHS and broken up here and be back testing. It's not a great quality IHS. It would be a better one actually if we were forming the right shoulder now, and I think we might be doing that. I think this is bottoming out. Chances are we're going up. Still on the 60-minute buy signal. Lean hogs has continued higher, no current negative divergence, and I'm not seeing any obvious reason to expect a retracement here, although I'm expecting to see one soon. Okay, what questions we got today, guys? Recap CL. Yeah, CL, obviously it didn't make the double top targets. The alternate targets were 35.3 and about 34.5. Leaning towards, until we see a decent bottoming pattern or some strong indication it's going up, I'm leaning towards it kicking around until it's ready to test this target. Minimum one is at, I think I've got it at 35.32. And I'm not seeing any reason to think that won't be made. So leaning towards that, kicking around for the time being. Doesn't look like an obvious bear flag forming, but if we were to do another high, that might be a bear flag channel. We shall see how that goes. Can I recap SPX? Yes. SPX. What I wanted to talk about was the low yesterday, which actually came very, very, very close to a retest of this low. That's at 3329.27. This is at 3329.51. I prefer to see lower lows on double bottom, but obviously this is a potential valid double bottom pattern. I am leaning towards seeing a bit lower, I'm nothing really strongly suggesting it goes up, but I've got a decent looking potential double bottom on Dow from yesterday's low, which actually was a lower low there. Not a bad one on SPX. On NQ, I've got a decent looking little potential IHS here, but it's not a decent looking one on NDX, which tends to, NDX of course is the dog and NQ is the tail. So I would prefer to have a decent pattern on NDX, and I don't currently have one. So this is a potential indicator. We're on 60-minute, on the RTH charts, we are on 60-minute RSI 14 buy signals across the board. That doesn't mean we can't go lower, but it does give a slight bullish tilt. So overall, I think the evidence suggests going lower, but we could reverse back up from yesterday's low, not retest it, and head straight up from here, and you need to be aware of that. So my lean is that we're probably going lower first. I think bonds are looking promising for that. Holding support here at monthly pivot, that looks converted to support. I'm leaning towards this going higher. And while that happens, normally, not every time recently, but normally, I would expect ES to go lower. So I'm expecting to see a lower low on ES today, lower relative to yesterday. And then ideally, it continues down and retests this low. That would have more chance of being a double bottom, although this could then just be an expanded wedge and then go down to the rising support trend line, which I would have currently at about the 32.25 area. That would be ideal, and we could make that, but I'm not making any assumptions here. We do have some indicators suggesting that we might be making a low here, and we need to bear those in mind. And the other thing to say here is that, have we got a big support level that we're bouncing off? Yeah, we do. And it's held at 4, and that's the 45 DMA. This was the low after the June high. Almost exact touch. You get those regularly. This was an exact touch. Now, you quite often don't get an exact touch, and quite often it goes beyond down to the next obvious target, which is the 200 DMA. But quite regularly, this acts as an important support and resistance level, and I'm just very aware that we've come down and we've tested it now twice. We could see it go up directly from here. So I'm leaning lower on the balance of probability, but there is a bull set up here. And it could play out. We shall see. So, all right, I won't be around much today. So I've got doing like divorce stuff. I need to get rid of a whole load of stuff before I sell a house and move out. So I've been working on that, and I've got weather today, which is absolutely not to be relied upon in England. Where green and pleasant land means it rains an awful lot. So I've got the weather today. I've got my last, I can finish off everything I need to do outside today. So I'm going to do that. Anyway, I'll be back as normal next week, apart from Monday, which I've got off. because I'm dropping off my daughter at university. So yeah, I think I'm very pumped. I've done good work on it this week, and I'm almost there. And this particular job, I think, will have vanished by the end of the day, and I'll be very happy with that. And it's been bugging me for years. And actually, I'm finding the whole divorce process very energizing so far. It'll be nice when it's done, and I'm really looking forward to it. So, all right, guys. Anyway, so I'm going to hardly be around today. Be aware of the risk to the upside. Overall, leaning towards a break here. Once we break and convert this level, we may well be on the way down to test the 200 DMA at 3090. But this level, we've tested it twice. That needs to be broken and converted to open the downside. And we may well see that today, but if we don't, then this could be a low right here. It's not a great setup for it, but we've certainly got the hourly buy signal for it, so we will see. All right, guys, I'll have the videos posted as soon as possible, and I'll catch you guys later. I'll be popping in and out today, and I'll certainly be around nearer the close. All right, cheers, guys.